Alrighty folks, welcome back. This is the second video for week 5. I apologize, the end of the first video got cut off a little bit, but I think there was enough there for you to see what was going on. Of course, message me if you are unsure. We're going to start here with number 13. I've already got the problem pulled up here. So we are dividing, and we have 10.89 divided by 4.5. So 10.89 divided by 4.5. All right. So whenever we are dividing two decimals, guys, the number here outside of the division symbol, this is our divisor. And we always want this number to be a whole number. Notice right now that it is a decimal, 4.5. Well, we can easily remedy this by simply moving this decimal one place to the right. However, if you do that to the divisor, the number outside of the division sign, you also have to do it to the dividend, the number inside of the division sign. In other words, this problem that we see here is the exact same as 108.9 divided by 45. All right. So really what we're doing here, guys, is we are simply increasing both the divisor and the dividend by a factor of 10. And in doing so, you're not changing the problem. Let's just show that here by calculating these using a calculator, and then we'll actually calculate our answer by hand. So when we take 10.89 and we divide by 4.5, we get 2.42. Now, if we increase both the divisor and the dividend by a factor of 10, that shouldn't affect our final answer. So hopefully we get 2.42 when we take 108.9 and divide that by 45. And there you go, 2.42. So you can see it's the exact same problem. It just takes care of having a decimal out here for your divisor. So let's go ahead and divide. So can 45 go into just 1? Nope, it's too large. Can 45 go into 10? Nope, 45 is still too large. Can 45 go into 108? Yes, it can. So it can go in 2 times. And remember, when your dividend has a decimal, you want to bring that decimal straight up. So that decimal is going to come straight up here. All right. And since 45 goes into 108, all right, 2 times, that's going to go right above the 8, all right, the last digit in the number 108. And 45 times 2 is 90. All right, so now we subtract 108 minus 90. Let's make sure we don't make any mistakes here. We have 108 minus 90 equals 18. Right, we are subtracting here. So that is 18. And of course, we now need to bring down the next value, which in this case is our 9. So now, how many times does 45 go into 189? Let's get out our calculator to help us out. So what is 45 times, let's just go with 5. Oh, too large there, right? How about 45 times 3? So 49 times 3 is 45, excuse me, times 3 is 135. Let's check 45 times 4. So that's 180, even closer to 189. Now, if we added another 45 to 180, we would be clearly over 189. So we want to do 45 times 4. I believe it was. I just want to double check. 45 times 4 is 180. All right. So 45 times 4 we just saw was 180. Oh, excuse me, I'm not sure why that horizontal line was in there. Let's get rid of that really quick. Faster, faster, faster. 180. Now we want to draw in our horizontal line and subtract. So 189 minus 180, that leaves us with 9. So notice here, guys, that in our dividend, we do not have any other numbers to bring down, just like we brought down our 9. However, remember, we can always add as many zeros to the end of this number as we want, and you're not going to change its value. 108.9000 is the same thing as 108.9. So we now can bring down this 0, just like we had brought down the 9 before. So what we really are left with is 90. And we already saw that 45 times 2 is in fact 90 itself. And when we subtract, we would then have no remainder. 90 minus 90 is 0, meaning that our final solution then is 2.42, which is what the calculator showed us at the beginning. Okay, on to our next problem here. Number 14 was the next one. Alright, so it says perform the indicated operations. Now, if you remember, guys, our previous problems had the instructions to do it without a calculator. This one, however, does not say without a calculator. So we will use the aid of a calculator here to help us out. Although it is, of course, good to know how to perform those operations, whether you have a calculator or not. So our problem here is -9 times 0.5 minus 9 times 3.7, all divided by 30 times 0.6 squared. Okay, so with a problem like this, guys, our order of operations is definitely going to be important. Let's remind ourselves that that is PEMDAS. And let's go ahead and get started. So first off, see that we do have a couple or a few sets of parentheses here, but inside of the parentheses we cannot simplify any further. So we move to the next piece here, which is exponents. And we do have an exponent to deal with. We need to take 0.6 and raise it to the second power. All right, so notice that this power of 2 is attached to the parentheses. So it is only applied to what we see in the parentheses. It is not applied to the 30. Technically, this 30 does have its own power. It has a power of 1 over here. Okay, so we need to take 0.6 and we need to square it. So everything else is going to stay the same. In our numerator, we have -9 times 0.5 minus 9 times 3.7. And this is all going to be divided by 30 Remember, there's no operation connecting the 30 and the 0.6 squared, no visible operation, which means that it's multiplication. 0.6 squared would be 0.36. All right, let's make our window a little bit larger here so I can fit some more work. We're going to move up. All right, so we are ready now to take care of the next pieces. Now, what we need to remember here is that we have a division problem. We have a numerator divided by a denominator. So that's going to be the very last thing that we do, is we need to take a numerator and divide it by the denominator. But we need to have single numbers in our numerator and our denominator in order to divide. So basically what that means, guys, is that we really actually have parentheses in our numerator and our denominator. Right? And if you want to write them in or draw them in when you do problems like this, you definitely should. This will just help you remember that I cannot perform this division right here, this division bar. I cannot perform this division until I have a single number up top in my numerator and a single number down in the bottom in my denominator. So really what we have to do next is we have three multiplication problems to take care of. We have this multiplication problem, this multiplication problem, and this multiplication problem. So let's go ahead and find the values of all of those. -9 times 0.5. So we have -9 times 0.5. And that is equal to -4.5. So we're working on our denominator here, -4.5. And we are going to be subtracting that from, we're going to subtract from that the product of 9 and 3.7. So this subtraction sign here, guys, is already written. You are subtracting a +9 times a +3.7. +9 times a +3.7. That is equal to 33.3. And now we're going to move down here to our denominator. And what we have here is 30 times 0.36. 30 times 0.36. And that is 10.8. Okay, so once again, guys, just a reminder, notice that overall we have a big division problem here. We're going to take a numerator and divide it by the denominator 10.8. But you need to have a single number in your numerator and in your denominator. We're good here in our denominator. However, we still need to simplify this numerator into a single number. In other words, we can imagine that there is a set of parentheses here. We need to subtract up here to get that single value. So what we need to do is we need to take -4.5 minus 33.3 and see what we get for our denominator. So we have a -4.5 minus 33.3 equals, that's a -37.8. -37.8. And this is all still divided by our denominator of 10.8. Alright, so we're very, very close to being done now. We're finally ready to perform this operation of division since we have simplified to a single number in our numerator and a single number in our denominator. So we have a -37.8, that's the number already stored in my calculator, divided by 10.8. So I'm going to take this number and divide it by 10.8. And that is equivalent to a -3.5. All right. So that would be our final answer there. Okay, so we really only have about a minute left. There is another problem, though, problem number 16. Let's at least take a look at it, and I might be able to talk on it for a few seconds. Okay, so this is a problem very similar to the last problem. Notice that in the end here, guys, you need to divide. All right, so what that means is you're going to have to simplify your numerators and your denominator, excuse me, I should have just said your numerator, singular, and your denominator so that they are a single number. Start off by squaring 0.5 and squaring 0.3. All right, you'll get two results there, and you need to subtract 0.3 squared from 0.5 squared. So in the end, you're going to be subtracting 0.09 from 0.25. All right, and then down in the denominator, you'll have to just add 0.005 to 0.3. And then you will have just a single number in your numerator and your denominator. Divide those two numbers and round your answer to the nearest hundredth. Good luck, folks.